Who is D.B. Cooper, and why does his story captivate us even today? From the depths of America's criminal history emerges a figure shrouded in mystery and intrigue, an enigma that has boggled minds for over half a century, D.B. Cooper. His name, or rather the name he gave, has become synonymous with one of the most audacious unsolved crimes in U.S. history. On a chilly afternoon in November 1971, a man identifying himself as Dan Cooper, later misreported as D.B. Cooper, boarded a flight from Portland to Seattle and pulled off a heist that would echo through the annals of crime lore. The fascination with D.B. Cooper stems not just from the audacity of his crime, but from the air of mystery that surrounds it. Here was a man who, in the span of a few hours, committed a high-profile crime, collected a substantial ransom, and then vanished, seemingly into thin air. The FBI pursued thousands of leads, but Cooper's true identity remained elusive. His story has inspired songs, movies, and countless theories, each attempting to shed light on the man behind the myth. Who was D.B. Cooper? Was he a seasoned criminal, a thrill-seeker, or a desperate man pushed to the edge? Did he survive his daring leap from the plane, or did he meet his end in the unforgiving wilderness? These questions and many more have fueled a fascination that has spanned generations. The mystery of D.B. Cooper is more than just an unsolved crime. It's a tale of audacity and enigma, a narrative that captures the human imagination. It speaks to our curiosity, our fascination with the unknown, and our enduring desire to solve puzzles. So, let's embark on a journey through time, back to that fateful day in November 1971, and try to unravel the enigma of D.B. Cooper. Let us delve into the story of this mysterious man, who remains an enigma to this day. Our story begins on a cold November day in 1971. A man, nondescript in appearance, purchased a one-way ticket for Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305, from Portland to Seattle. He gave his name simply as Dan Cooper, a moniker that would soon become infamous around the globe. As he boarded the plane, nothing about him suggested anything out of the ordinary. Dressed in a dark suit and tie with a briefcase in hand, he blended into the crowd of business travelers. He found his seat towards the back of the plane, ordered a bourbon and soda, and settled in for the short flight. Meanwhile, the flight attendants began their routine duties, unaware they were serving one of the most enigmatic figures in aviation history. Cooper was described as calm and polite, even charming. He smoked a few cigarettes and kept mostly to himself, hardly drawing any attention. As the plane rolled down the runway and lifted into the dreary Portland sky, Cooper passed a note to Florence Schaffner, one of the flight attendants. Thinking it was a lonely businessman's attempt at flirtation, Florence initially ignored the note. It was only when Cooper leaned over and whispered, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb," that the true nature of the mysterious passenger came to light. Florence read the note, her eyes widening as she took in the words. Cooper had hijacked Flight 305, and he was demanding $200,000 in ransom and 4 parachutes. The flight attendant returned to the cockpit and informed the pilots of the dire situation. Back in his seat, Cooper sat as cool and collected as before. He sipped his bourbon, looking out at the passing scenery, his demeanor belying the audacious crime he was committing. Little did the crew know, their routine flight was about to take a dramatic turn. The calm and composed passenger was about to reveal his true intentions. D.B. Cooper, the name that would soon become synonymous with one of aviation history's greatest enigmas, was no longer just a passenger on Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305. As the plane hummed along, cruising at an altitude of 10,000 feet, the ordinary man initiated an extraordinary sequence of events. He summoned a flight attendant, and with a cool demeanor, he revealed his intentions. He was hijacking the plane. Cooper's demands were precise and clear: $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck standing by in Seattle to refuel the aircraft upon landing. His message was relayed to the authorities, who were, understandably, taken aback. However, they had little choice but to comply, given the lives at stake. While the plane circled the Seattle airspace, painstaking efforts were put into gathering the ransom money. Each bill was photographed to record its serial number, a methodical process that took some time, but was necessary to aid in the possible future apprehension of the hijacker. Meanwhile, Cooper remained collected, waiting patiently and sipping bourbon. His demeanor was so calm that it was almost eerie, as if he was just another passenger on a flight, not a man orchestrating a high-stakes hijacking. Eventually, the plane landed in Seattle. The passengers were released unharmed, oblivious to the drama that unfolded in the cabin. The ransom money was delivered to Cooper, and the fuel truck refueled the plane. Cooper issued his next set of instructions, a course set for Mexico City, with specific instructions for a low altitude and reduced speed. With his demands met, Cooper was ready to take to the skies once again. As the plane soared over the vast wilderness, Cooper prepared for his daring escape. This was no ordinary leap. It was a dive into the unknown, a plunge into the heart of a mystery that would continue to befuddle the world for decades to come. D.B. Cooper was about to execute one of the most audacious acts in the annals of crime and aviation history. With the Boeing 727 maintaining a low altitude and slow speed, as per his demands, Cooper carefully secured the ransom money to his person. He was no professional skydiver, that much was certain. Yet, there he was, about to leap from a commercial airliner into the frigid night, with nothing but a parachute and his wits to aid him. As the rear air stair of the plane lowered, the biting wind howled in protest. Undeterred, Cooper took one last look at the interior of the aircraft that had been his audacious stage, then stepped off into the void. The plane, lighter by one passenger, continued on its path, leaving behind nothing but the echo of its engines in the vast, silent wilderness. In the days that followed, authorities scrambled to make sense of the daring escape. Ground and air search parties scoured the suspected drop zone. Yet the rugged terrain and dense forests of the Pacific Northwest proved a formidable adversary. The weather, too, was uncooperative, with heavy rain and low visibility hampering the efforts. Despite the deployment of sophisticated tracking equipment and the best investigative minds of the era, no conclusive evidence of Cooper's fate was found. The parachute he used, the clothing he wore, the very man himself, all seemed to have disappeared without a trace. The lack of clues was as baffling as the crime itself, leaving the authorities grappling with a myriad of unanswered questions. Despite their best efforts, D.B. Cooper had vanished into thin air. In the years that followed, the myth of D.B. Cooper only grew. The audacious hijacking and the mysterious disappearance inflamed public imagination, and the elusive figure of Cooper became a symbol of rebellion and audacity. The aftermath of the event saw one of the most extensive and expensive manhunts in United States history, but all to no avail. Cooper had vanished, leaving behind a trail of questions and theories. The mystery surrounding Cooper's fate has spawned countless theories over the years. Some believe he survived the daring jump and lived out his days in anonymity. Others argue that he perished that night, his body lost to the wilderness. There are those who propose that Cooper was a seasoned skydiver who planned the event meticulously, while others suggest he was an inexperienced thrill-seeker who acted on impulse. The question of his identity is equally contentious. Over the years, many have claimed to be Cooper or to know his true identity, but none have provided conclusive evidence. Some theories suggest he was a disgruntled employee, a war veteran, or even a foreign spy. Despite the FBI officially closing the case in 2016, amateur sleuths and enthusiasts continue to investigate, driven by the enigma that is D.B. Cooper. While the truth may never be known, the legend of D.B. Cooper continues to captivate us. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the past. Together, we've delved into the enigma of D.B. Cooper, a mysterious passenger who hijacked a plane and vanished, leaving behind only questions and theories. This is but one of the many intriguing stories from history that we're committed to sharing. If you enjoyed this tale and crave more such captivating narratives, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. Until next time, keep exploring the mysteries of the past.